Hi guys, welcome to a new knitting podcast. My name is Claudia and welcome here on Claudia's Knits, where I talk mostly about my colorful knitting objects and my projects and my yarn obsession and basically yarn addiction at the moment because I have some new yarn again. Well, you know me, I just love a good sale and I love some beautiful yarn, so I will show you that in the end. It's been a month since I filmed the last podcast, and in between I uploaded a vlog of a yarn festival, which was really fun to see. So if you haven't watched that vlog, just do, because then it feels a little bit like we went together and just saw all that beautiful yarn. So today I have one finished object, I have a couple of whips, and as I said, new yarn. I feel like I don't have a whole lot to show you, especially since it's been a month since filming, but life has been a little bit busy lately, and that's a good thing, because if you have been following me for the past year, almost year and a half, you know that knitting for me is sometimes like therapy, like a coping mechanism. When I'm not doing that great mentally, I knit a whole lot, and when I'm doing mentally a lot better, then I don't really have the time or the need to knit all day, every day. So that's basically where I'm at. I'm doing quite good, and I'm really happy about that. So let's just start with my first only finished object, and it's my poppy tee. So I showed you this last time, then I started it and I was working on a yoke, and now it's finished. And I haven't worn this because it's absolutely like ridiculous spring weather here in the Netherlands. It's the end of May now and it's just raining. Like this month has been raining so much, and it is warm, but also not all that warm, I don't know. So it just came off my blocking mat this week. So it is a t-shirt, as you can see. It's the Poppy Tee by Petiteknit, which has a really unique and fun construction of how you work the yoke, and then it has short sleeves with ribbed edges also on the body, and a double folded ribbed 1x1 ribbed collar. So let's talk all about this. Firstly, the yarn that I used is Novita Woollywood, and it's a DK weight yarn. It's 70% tencel, 30% merino. I have used this yarn before for my champagne cardigan. That was a navy one, and I bought this yarn at the yarn festival that I just mentioned. And yeah, the pattern, the poppy tee, calls for more of a sport weight kind of yarn, but I have gauge with this DK. It's just quite heavy because it is mostly plant-based and it's a little bit thicker. But I do love how this fabric looks. Like, it looks really clean and neat. I love working with this yarn. I like how it works up. But there are some things that I don't really love about that yarn. And one of which is, and I mean that can happen with red yarn, this bled so much. Like, it stained my hands working on this. I showed a picture on Instagram with this. I was working in, like, all the tips of my fingers were turning red, and I have some hairs. Like, I had a red stripe across my finger for where the yarn, well, runs through my fingers. And that happened quite a lot working on this. And then I got to blocking, and like, the water was completely bright red pink, like a beautiful color, but it was still shocking to me how much this yarn gave up, like the dye. And look at it, it still looks perfect. So I'm not afraid of losing any color within my project. I'm just a little bit afraid that this will still stain light clothing or my jeans. So I got some tips on Instagram to wash it with a little bit of vinegar. So I'm going to try that soon. Maybe after filming this, I will wash it again with some vinegar, and that should lock in the dye somehow. And then maybe it won't like stain my clothing, because that wouldn't be fun. Well, about this t-shirt. You start at the back basically, so you begin with a little portion here and you do some increases. Then you pick up stitches along that increase line, which forms this cute little detail. You pick up stitches and you knit a little bit to the front. I have explained this a couple of times before, also because it's the same as the Lyon sweater that I knitted last winter. So you knit a bit on front, you do some increases for the neckline, you join the front, and then, or maybe in between, I forgot, you pick up stitches between or at the edge of that front pieces, that shoulder pieces that goes here. You pick up stitches over here, and then you start working in the round, and it ends up with a raglan shaping, as you can see. And then you just work the body straight, and with all the finishings, as you can see, there is a purl row, so you get that line with it. I think that's a cute detail, hadn't done that before. I really like that. And this is what the back looks like. And I really loved it before blocking. I felt like the fit was great, only the sleeves were a little bit too like puffy, because they cinched in with the ribbing a little bit, so I stretched that out with blocking. I made the sleeve a little bit shorter than the pattern suggested, because I felt like otherwise it would have come down like exactly to here, to my elbow, and I want this to be like a short sleeve t-shirt, so I made it a little bit shorter. But to my surprise, when I just tried it on for the first time since blocking, it has grown immensely, and I'm not really happy about that. So here's a clip of me wearing it. Firstly untucked, because then you can see how like the length and how it looks. I love the fit on the body and the drape and the positive ease. I don't mind that around my waist, but the yoke has dropped so much, and I feel like the yoke depth is now way too deep, and the points where the shoulders were at before blocking, those were a little bit too high up, like here, and now they're way too low. So I think that has grown like 4 centimeters width-wise, and with the sleeves dropped to that point of which I showed you that I didn't want it. So when I have it tucked in, I like the look of like an oversized t-shirt. I buy my t-shirts, like the fun cute t-shirts, most of the times like a really oversized, like the 2 sizes, 3 sizes too big, because I like oversized. But with this, that wasn't my intention. By the way, I knitted a size large, and I feel like it came up way too big, but that's the fault of the yarn or my yarn choice. And I anticipated some growth with being a plant-based fiber, but it grew much more than I thought it would. And I especially, as I said, I don't like the yoke depth. For now, I feel like I could have made it like a small or an extra small baby, and then I would have liked the fit. And I'm going to wear this because it looks really good on me, and the color, I mean, this is my color, basically one of the colors that suits me the best, I think. I have talked about color theory and seasons and everything before, and sometimes I'm hesitating between, am I like a summer or a winter? I'm somewhere in between, but when I'm wearing this, I know I'm a winter. Because when I had no makeup on and I was trying this to see how it would fit, I was like, wow, what is this kind of magic? This color looks great. So I do love the color. I do like the little bit of drape that it still has. It is heavy. I will wear it, but I'm a little bit sad that the fit isn't what I really wanted it to be. It's too oversized, and with this not being like a cotton t-shirt, the sleeve is quite stiff, it's short, so when I pull up my arm, like the whole shirt moves. That makes sense because it's knitted, but I feel a little bit more restricted than in just a regular t-shirt. And also the sleeve, and it's maybe because of the blocking, forms a little bit of point here, so I feel like it still pulls a little bit too much for my taste, but I think that can be salvaged with washing and blocking it again. So yeah, this is the poppy tee. I do want to make this pattern again because I really love working on this pattern, and I have so many plans for so many more t-shirts. But I think I want, well, obviously I will use a different yarn. I'm not going to do this yarn again, especially in a red, because I don't like how it bleeds. But I do love the color red, so I want to make something red again. Maybe a red sweater with just wool. But I'm going to make the poppy tee again because I think it isn't a fault of the pattern, it's a fault of me and my yarn choice. Do with it what you will. Maybe I will wear it in my next podcast. Usually I do that. I show my finished object and I'm wearing it in the next podcast and you can see it like really live. So yeah, I don't know what else I can say about this. I do recommend the pattern. Let's keep it at that. And then my next project is still a whip. And I have shown you this, and this is one of the things that took up a whole lot of knitting time. And it's a sweater for my dad. He asked me to make a sweater for him. So this is the Hanstholm sweater by Petiteknit again. I'm just looking. I'm heavily Petiteknit based, but I usually am because her patterns are really reliable for me. So this is a men's raglan sweater. As you can see, the neck is higher up and is worked with German short rows. You have the raglan increases, and it's really a basic stockinette sweater. So last time I think I had the yoke done, and I had just a couple of centimeters done below the splitting for sleeves part. Now I have worked quite a bit on one sleeve, and I have worked on the body. But there's something up with that because I redid the body. So I was working on this, and then a couple of weeks ago I had my dad try the sweater on just to see how it looks and if the size was okay. And it felt way too big because, like, I'm critical. I don't mind my stuff being oversized. That's something I can live with. But if I'm putting so much work and so many hours in something for someone else, I just want it to be as close as perfect as I can get it, basically. I wanted... so I feel like you have a Dutch saying, like, if you translate it, he swam in the sweater. It was slobbering all around him. And I wanted it a little bit more tailored. So I had this much done. I frogged the whole thing back to the yoke, the splitting for sleeves part. And then I picked up less stitches below the armpit, like half of the stitches that I needed to. So that saved me about 2-3 centimeters. But I also realized that my gauge was getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So from that point on, I went to a little bit of a smaller needle. I was working on 3.25 millimeter needles, and now I'm working on 3 millimeters. And I'm making sure the gauge is the same over here. Maybe there's a little bit of a difference between the below part, the upper part, but I don't care. I just don't want it to be really big because I was essentially 2 stitches too big, which is a whole lot. So I think now it will be fine. And I redid the whole body and I did the sleeve. So it took me a whole lot of hours, and you can't really see how much work I put into this. But yeah, rather it be fine than finishing it and in the end thinking, well, I could have done a better job. So I'm going to him this afternoon, so I really want him to try it on one time. I'm not going to frog it again and do it again, but just for my headspace, for my ease, I want to see how it looks now and just be happy with it, hopefully. Also, I want to know the sleeve length, because this being a men's sweater, I really can't tell how long this is and where it will fit him. Normally I make my sleeves shorter than pattern, I have no idea if I need to do that for him as well. I'm just a little bit past halfway point of the sleeves according to the pattern, and then I need to do the ribbing. So yeah, I'm going to bring my measuring tape with me. As you can see, I've put in markers for all the decreases on the sleeves, just for ease and counting how many decreases I did. Also on 4mm needles, and I think like there is one line showing here. It's not too bad. The yarn that I'm using is Sandnes Garn Pear Gynt, and this is a colorway that's like blue gray marled. This is a beautiful color, to be honest, and I just love this fabric. It's a little bit rustic, but it feels like a nice wool sweater. I want to look up the color name, and it's 6072, and now I have used how many skeins? I feel like last time I counted this as well, so it's probably the same amount. So I'm working on my 8th ball, and I think I bought 16 skeins. So I'm working on my 8th. I don't know. I'm just curious to know in the end how much I used, just for future reference if I'm knitting another sweater for a man in my life. As you know, not my boyfriend anytime soon. Don't have a boyfriend anyways, but well, maybe my brother. So he can try that on, and maybe I will knit something for my brother because I would love to do that. So hey Cardo, if you see this, you're next. So yeah. Now I'm working on the sleeve. I feel like I'm getting in a groove again, but this is a little bit of a love-hate thing. And I've said it before, if I'm not working on a project for more than a week, maybe 2 weeks, then I lose all the flow I have with the project, and then I don't want to pick it up because this feels like boring. And I really wanted to have the poppy tee finished, but I have 2 projects that I'm really excited about. So I really want to work on those, but I also want this to be finished. It's not winter anytime soon, so he can't wear this, but yeah, I don't want this to be still laying around in September. It really needs to be done before my summer holidays, or maybe before my vacation, let's say that, because, well, I'm a teacher if you don't know, so I have, like I said, summer holiday period, and that's starting in about 2 months. So that should be a good deadline to have this finished. You will keep me accountable that it's finished in 2 months. Yeah. Then next, just a little bit in between, I have worked on something, but I don't have it with me, and I have a clip of me explaining everything, so insert clip. Okay, so just quick talking about this cardigan that I knitted on these last couple of weeks. I think in 3 or 4 sessions. This is not my cardigan, unfortunately. It looks cute on me, but this is from my knitting friend Heike, and she came to the conclusion that she really hated working on this, partly because it's a cardigan and she doesn't like all the long purl rows. I don't mind that. I like knitting on cardigans, so I said I would finish it. So she had done all the hard work and the sleeves, etc. I just finished the body from this marker on and the ribbing. You knit the bottom band at the same time as you knit the body. It's a ribbed bottom band with the holes, and I did the collar. So you pick up stitches and do that in the end as well. So it's knitted on 6mm needles, the bottom band on 5mm needles. So I needed to get the same tension as her, so the gauge is the same, but that wasn't too hard, I feel like. But yeah, this is, by the way, the Traveler's cardigan by Ozetta. It's a drop shoulder cardigan, as you can see, with some balloon sleeves, no shaping in the sleeves. Size medium. It's a little bit too small for me. If I would make this again, I mean, I like how it looks open, but if I want to have this closed, I think it's too small for me. But maybe because I like a little bit more of a loose fit. I love the color that she used. Heike, this color is stunning. And the yarn I want to talk about a bit. is the yarn that's suggested in the pattern, and it's Wooldreamers unspun yarn Melanchelopis. I have no idea how to pronounce that. But like I said, it's an unspun yarn, which comes in like these big plates. There are 2 strands at the same time, so together it makes an Aran weight. And I've never worked with unspun yarn before, and I will never do that again, because it reminds me of cotton candy. If I pull on this a little bit too tight, it breaks so easily. You just have to pull it a little bit. It's like cotton candy, it disappears. So that's really hard to work with. It leaves out all the fun of working on such a project. I mean, it looks cool. It's really warm because the sun's out, and it has all these ends to weave in. I'm going to leave that to Heike herself, and it's some of the ends are just from working on it, but sometimes it's just because I pulled on it a little bit too tight and then it breaks. So yeah, I'm not going to use unspun yarn ever again, because that just ruins the whole process. But I really liked finishing this for her and doing something kind for a friend. And yeah, that's all I can say about this cardigan and about what I knitted on this. Okay, so now we're back with my own projects. And let's start with one that I had already started last project. I feel like this could have been done like easily, but hey, I wanted the poppy to be finished. And it's a little clutch. So this is the honey clutch by Petiteknit. And this is where I'm at. It always looks like a mess when I pull it out of, get it out of the bag, my project bag. But this is what it looks like. Look at that stitch pattern. It's so fun. This is so fun to do. It's so cute. So last time I had worked the bottom, which is done in double knitting. So it takes up a little bit of time, even though it's really tiny. And then you pick up stitches all the way around and you start knitting in this honeycomb. Is it a honeycomb brioche stitch? Anyways, I used the clip, the video that accompanies this pattern on the Petiteknit page. I do really recommend those videos anyways, but especially for this, because that made a lot of sense more than the pattern did. So I'm working on one circular needle. I'm working on needle size 2.5 millimeter. And then on the shorter edges, they're double pointed needles. And I have one extra double pointed needle to do this stitch. So you're working sort of like a magic loop with the circular needle. And the fun thing is it's a 4-row repeat. So row number 1, you work on the right side and you do your whole stitch pattern all the way around. Then you turn your work and then you work the second round from the wrong side. And the third round is from the right side and the fourth round is from the wrong side. That keeps this such an engaging stitch pattern to do. And I have made some mistakes, especially in the beginning, but I don't think you can tell all that much. I mean, I don't think I can find it anyways. Well, I feel like here at the bottom, well, when you drop a stitch, it's basically impossible to pick it up on the right way. So lifelines could be useful, but I couldn't manage to get a lifeline in this with the needle. So I thought, well, I'm going to risk it. And I don't know if I'm doing this, well, the turning point, the beginning and the end, if I'm doing that right, because that looks a little bit different than everything else. Maybe for my next clutch, I will look up the video and see if I'm doing that right. Because now I feel I don't. But I want to work on this anyways. So the yarn that I'm using is 2 strands of a garn, a yarn called Coast. I bought it at the fair. It feels the same as Holst Garn Coast, so I think it's pretty similar to that, which is a cotton and wool base in this beautiful sunflower yellow. I have a yellow obsession at the moment. I have some yellow yarn on my way. I don't have it with me, but that will be for my next episode because I love yellow at the moment. So I need to knit up, I think, about double this size, maybe a little bit less. And then you do the top part where the zipper will be. So I still need to order a zipper and some lining. But I'm taking my time with this. And every time I'm working on this, I want to have that 4-row repeat finished. And then every time when I pick it up, I know I'm on the first round. So yeah, I really want to make more of these, and I already have yarn for that, or the honey wash bag, which is a bigger size. So this is really fun. And if this helps me knitting less garments, but more of these project bags, because I think this will maybe be like a notions bag or a sock knitting project bag, if I will knit socks again, or maybe a little makeup bag. This is so fun. So yeah, who knows where I'm at next time. So yeah, I really recommend making something like this and the stitch pattern as well. But you do have to be a little bit more experienced, I think. But that makes sense, because if you look at it, I can't figure out how this stitch pattern works, but it works. And then last project is also like a tangly mess. And it's another t-shirt. This is T number 1 by my favorite things, Knitwear. That was also high up on my list, and I really wanted to knit that one as well, so I can compare the poppy tee and the T number 1 and see which pattern I like more, and then based on that, the next t-shirt, that will be the pattern that I like the most, or the result that I like the most. Maybe that's the thing. So this is what I have so far. It's a beautiful, cute purple yarn. It's new, one of my new acquisitions, because I think last time, I'm pretty sure I showed it. Last time I showed you yarn that I got at a cute little yarn store in Tilburg here in the Netherlands, Wool City Tilburg, or Wool Atelier Tilburg. And she had a sale going on from Istex Kambgarn that she wasn't going to sell anymore, and one skein was €2.50. So the first time that I went, I got a dark green color for a t-shirt and butter yellow one for a project bag, or so like a honey clutch. And then I went back for the second time, like basically a week later, with Heike, one of my offline knitting friends, and I got some more yarn from that sale. So this is 100% non-superwash merino. 50 grams is 150 meters, so more of like a sport weight yarn. And I do really like this. This has a little bit more of a grip to it than your regular merino, I feel like. So this isn't really a color that like suits me the way that the red yarn does, but I'm still wearing makeup, so it will be fine. And I thought this would be really cute with an oversized t-shirt. So this t-shirt is meant to be a little bit more oversized. Well, I don't have gauge. My gauge is too small. I'm working this on needle size 3.25. The pattern calls for 3.5, I believe, but I didn't have my 3.5 millimeter needles with me at the moment, so I just started with this, and I like the fabric, so I'm knitting a size large, which should be my size, but this pattern calls for a lot of positive ease. On top of my head, I would guess 15 centimeters, so I want this to be a little less oversized, but I'm counting for my smaller gauge and chose the bigger size anyways. It is a non-superwash, so I don't think this will grow as much as the poppy tee. And what you see here is basically the shoulders and the back. So this t-shirt has a saddle shoulder construction. It's my first time working that. So you begin with 2 rectangular shapes, and those will sit on top of your shoulders. And then you pick up stitches. I want to show you. So you have those rectangular shapes, and then you pick up stitches along one side, you pick up new stitches and you knit, or you pick up more stitches on the other, well, I want to say square, but it's not a square. And then you work some short row shapings to shape the back, but it's really hard to see right now because it's not blocked and it's curling up, and the mess is made because the edge of those rectangular pieces are on hold, and there are quite a lot of ends you have to weave in. So I tied a knot on my barber cords to make it a little bit easier for myself. But now if I want to start, like, this is the yarn, I have no idea. That's one thing I don't really like about this, but maybe it would have been more helpful to have the stitches on hold on one cable, or maybe on just some scrap yarn, like a smaller piece of scrap yarn, just tie a knot in it, and then you don't have this to deal with. That tangles up all the yarn ends. So next time I may be able to give more of an overview of how this looks, and if it's manageable, because right now this is the status. And this is still my first skein that I'm working on. I bought 6 skeins, probably way too much, but I'd rather have too much than too little, especially when it's on sale. So yeah, that's my latest, newest project. And now I have 3 main projects on my needles. So this one, the sweater for my dad, and the clutch, and I really want to focus on those projects. I do still have my sweet shop blanket, but that's hibernating a little bit just for, like, I think fall. I think after the summer I will work on that so much more. So let's get on the exciting part of the new yarn. So I went to the yarn store. I bought the lilac-y one, but I also bought this. I saw this yarn the first time, also the lilac color. And this really screams my name because I'm the pink knitting girly, especially in my knitting friend group. And I didn't know what I wanted to do with it, so I didn't buy it the first time. And then I was there for the second time and I was like, who am I kidding? I know I can make something with it. They had 9 skeins, so I bought all 9 skeins, and it should be enough for an Elizabeth blouse, which this yarn would be great for. Heike already made an Elizabeth blouse with this yarn, and I feel like, well, everyone has this yarn, bought this yarn in my offline knitting friends. So the pink one as well is really bright, as you can see. I thought about a pink and red striped sweater as always, because that's just perfection. That color combination is wonderful. But I think I'm keeping it with this just pink. Maybe an Elizabeth blouse, maybe just a simple sweater. I love it. And I also bought some green yarn. This is Sandnes Garn Sunday. I want to say I love this yarn, but I do have quite some Sunday, but I haven't worked on it with it. It's a 100% merino, non-superwash. It's a fingering weight yarn. This color is 9062. And I bought 6 skeins to make the Barbaro blouse with it. And that's part of a little knit along that my friends and I are doing. And it's a pattern that's in the Knitting for Olive book. So I already own that. So let's look it up. So this is the Barbaro blouse. So it's an all over lace stitch, which has a scalloped edge and scalloped edging along the neckline. I made the Barbaro top by Knitting for Olive last summer, which is a sleeveless top and it has like a deeper neckline. Really love doing this stitch pattern. It's really addicting and it's only a 6th or 8th row repeat. To be safe, I would say 8th. So it's really addicting to get to that 8th row. So we're planning on, well, 3 of us knitting together this blouse. And I don't know which size I want to make yet because I'm in between sizes. I'm always in between sizes because my bust circumference is about 100 centimeters. So in here it has 92 to 100 centimeters and 100 to 109. So I'm right in the middle of size 1, 2, 3 and 4 for this pattern. So normally I would say size 3. Or no, that's this, yeah, size 3. But with size 3 I would have a finished object of 88 centimeters, which is quite a lot of negative ease. And I don't really know if I want that. Also, I need to look at my gauge, so I need to make a swatch. I know my Barbaro blouse I made with Tin Line, which is like a slippery yarn. And I barely got gauge with needle size 2.5 millimeter. And the blouse I don't have with me turned out really big. And I mean, it looks great on. It has a lovely drape, like oversized with good drape. It's beautiful. But with this yarn, this has a little bit more grip to it. I don't know. So yeah, to be safe, I bought 6 skeins. But maybe I will only need 5, but doesn't matter. Also, this has a beautiful like back detail, like this peephole and then some buttons. And I do think that I maybe want to do a different neckline because it's a bottom up, so you start with a whole lot of stitches at the bottom and then you work your way up. So maybe I would like just a thin double folded stockinette for a more modern look, but this is also really romantic. And I don't see myself wearing this like tight top. That's not really my style. I like it a little bit more loose fitting, but I do want the shaping to be good around the chest area, of course. But this would also be a lovely layering piece. But on Instagram, I saw a version of someone sleeveless. So this top cropped a little bit bigger on the body and then like a sleeveless. That looked so stunning. Maybe I will do that. And then your sleeves you knit also bottom up and then you need to graft it together. So that's a new construction for me. I'm really curious. And that's not everything. I do have some more yarn. And I think I mentioned this last time, but I had ordered yarn from my friend, my best friend, Fem from the Mindfulcreators. She dyes her own yarn and a couple of weeks, well maybe months ago, she had the Dreaming of Spring collection and like I saw it at her home and I was falling in love with some colors. I really wanted to have like basically the whole collection. Well, my bank account doesn't agree with that. So in the end, I chose still quite a lot. Don't have exact plans for most of the yarn. The first is Spring Flame. This color pops on screen. It's a beautiful, like corally, I think coral describes it the best. It is quite tonal, but it does have some pink in it. And if you swatch it, then you can see that really well. So this is her Flowy fingering base, which is a superwash merino. I have used this yarn in my Field of Flowers pink speckled sweater from like a couple of months ago. So I bought 2 skeins of this yarn to hopefully make more of like a summer top with this. Don't have exact plans. I don't think it's the greatest color on me. Like I'm more of a cool girl person, but I do love this. I think I can pull this off. So I'm still on the hunt for new fingering weight patterns with preferably a high neck, but I don't think I want lace or texture per se, maybe a little bit. I'm not sure yet, but I was so in love with this color. It's so unique and fun, and I don't mind if I'm keeping this yarn to next summer. And then the other color that I was like flabbergasted about, and I knew I wanted to get it, but I don't have plans for it, is Wildflower. So this is just all over speckled yarn. This is also the merino base, the Flowy fingering base. It has purple and green and yellow and pinks and orange speckles. This is so much fun, and like not the most flattering color on me per se. I would have loved to make a cardigan or a sweater with this, but my bank account said no. So unfortunately that's not going to happen. Also, I could hold this together with like a suri or a mohair and make like a lentil with it, also with the other yarn. But I don't wear my lentil. I don't wear things with mohair or fluff. It gets everywhere. I don't really like the feel of it. So this also will be hopefully a summer top. And for this I don't want texture. So maybe just camisole number 9. But I feel like this could have a little bit more of extra. But there are not a lot of high neck basic tops that are fingering weight. Most of them are DK, unfortunately. And lastly, I bought the same yarn on a DK base, 1 skein. So maybe you can see a little bit of the difference between the fingering and the DK. And I'm planning to make a honeycomb clutch with this one. Honeycomb or clutch or washback, I don't really know the yardage for each, but I just thought that would be such a cute special project for special yarn that's relatively affordable. Well, in the end, with 5 skeins, that defeats it a little bit. But I think that would be so much fun, and then I can use it so much. So look at this. So if you're curious about these yarns, the collection is done, but maybe she will bring back some other colors. But she's also working on like summer tonals, I believe, or like she's getting better and better and better. So I'll have her linked below, the Mindfulcreators. And with that, I'm done rambling, I think. So yeah, that was what I've been working on the last month. I hope you're doing well and you're in your knitting flow again, or still, and enjoying the maybe summery knitting things. I really want to chat. I don't know if you could tell, but I'm going to end this here, and hopefully I will see you very, very soon. So thank you for watching, and bye bye.